Hello. As people watching this channel, and that might be you, might have noticed, I recently bought a synthesizer, which is this one here, and now I can't see anything. Right, so this is the Kilpatrick Phenol, which is a really cool synthesizer because it is patchable and you can do so many weird things with it, as I'm sure some of you might already have heard on my channel if you were able to watch the entire videos where I actually play this thing. When I got it, I got an idea because I am able to control it via MIDI, but I do not have any devices that can control it with control voltages. And I was thinking that I should get a sequencer for it. That's my starting point. And then I realized that wouldn't it be fun if I made my own sequencer? And I've been looking online and I've seen different ideas and ways to do that. And they didn't really appeal to me because I realized that what would be even more fun and also easier, because I don't know much about electronics yet, is to make a passive sequencer. That is to say, taking the voltage out of the phenol, putting it through the correct resistors, and putting it back into the phenol again so that it gives the correct voltages for different notes. Okay, so how does one do this? One thing I realized when I was patching my phenol, I'll just see if I can show this now. So on the phenol, on the phenol you have two envelopes, and they're not just envelopes, they're advanced envelopes. They can be used for different things, and they also do random or actually scaled notes out. But if nothing is patched into the envelopes, the output gives out about minus 4.7, 4.8, actually 4.85, I think, minus 4.85 volts. So what I realized is if I take the minus 4.85 volts, patch it into the adder, and increase the level, which doubles it, it becomes about 9.7, and I do the negative out, I suddenly have a power supply that can supply roughly 9.7 volts. Now this 9.7 volts, I'm taking this out of here into some kind of device that I will make myself, that has resistors. I was thinking maybe to start with just make a little keyboard, and it has the right resistance for different notes, and I take the output of that back into one of the oscillators, pitch input, and I can make it play exact pitches. Okay, so that was my starting point. Of course, I was thinking of making a sequencer, but how do you make a sequencer move from one note to the next? A little bit more of a challenge. I was thinking a completely manual sequencer, maybe a hand crank. I'll see if I can make something with that. But first of all, I needed to find the voltages that the phenol produces itself from the envelope via the adder and then out into some kind of resistance. Okay, so how do I do this? There is something called a resistance decade box, which if actually I don't have one right here now, so I can control it. The principle is you have a little box with rotary switches, each with 10 positions, and you connect these to different resistors, usually high precision ones, and you do one for the single digits, so you have one going from 1 to 10 ohms. You might do actually less than 1 ohm as well, but 1 to 10 ohms, and then you do tens, so do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You do one for the hundreds, one for the thousands, one for the 10,000s, 100,000s, etc., depending on how high you go. And I did try to order one online, but it got lost in the mail. So what do you do? Well, what do? I made an alternative. So I made this little thing here, which maybe it goes into focus. Will it go into focus? It will not go into focus. Right, so what this is, even though it doesn't focus, this is a really cheap version of, because I didn't need the numbers on the resistor box to actually help me now, because I will measure it anyway. So what I did was, let's see if I can do like that. Oh yeah, there we are. Right, so these are just cheap, really cheap trim pots, and I use different ratings. So we have here on this side, I have the highest ones. These are 2 megohm ones, and I can't remember the other values now, but they're going down. And I soldered them all in serial, and anyone who's into soldering now, please look away, because this is quite horrendous. This is probably the 3rd time in my life that I've been soldering. So I've soldered these in series together and connected them to 2 banana jacks, so I can just plug straight in from the Phenol, and also these things sticking out at the end I can connect to my multimeter and check the values. So this is very easy to make. If you want to make something like this, all you need is some trim pots to the values that you will be using. You need a small screwdriver, very easy to get, and this is just a tiny cheap prototyping board that has been where the holes have been pre-tinned, and you can use that. And so this is what I made, and I found the values for the different notes. So basically it has an input of 9.7 volts, and going through the resistor, this thing here, putting it back into the pitch input. And there's one more thing, of course, one needs, is a tuner. I'm using my old Korg orchestral tuner. Other tuners are available. This one is nice for, well, actually lots of tuners do have inputs and outputs, but well, this one, input and output. And I quite like the needle as opposed to a digital display. I don't know, I'm a bit old school. So I went through the whole range. I've managed to get I might show that now. Oh. Right, so I managed to get a whole scale from an F sharp 0, so that's quite a low frequency, up to an A8. And that has a range from 11.18 kiloohms up to 128.1 kiloohms. So it's not a huge range of resistances. They're all in the kiloohm range, and yeah, so it shouldn't be too hard to make something. So what to do next? Well, of course, now I got the measurements, I got the and I need to make something with resistors. So that is the next thing I'll be doing, and I will make a different video about that because I haven't really started yet. I do have lots of resistors, but I'm thinking maybe I might try something a bit different. Or if I do use resistors, I actually want to make them visible, because I want it to be a whatever device I make, I want it to be an aesthetic thing as well. So I was thinking maybe having the resistors on the outside and the connections between them underneath where you can't see, possibly, or even wires that you can see as well. But I do want to make it pretty, and as well as with potential for sonic interest. Because the thing about a patchable synthesizer is when you play it and when other people see you play it, it has a physicality to it. You see the patch cables, you can see the it's a movement. It's a sort of very interactive instrument, and as a performance, you connect more to it as well because of the physicality and the visual aspect is part of it. And so I would actually like to have the as much of my control device, my DIY control device, visible, excuse me, as possible. Oh, excuse me again. Too much talking, too little water. So there you go. Right. So I will make more episodes about this as and when I've done a bit more, and it's in the works. Although I am also doing a little bit of a loft tidying right now, and I do have some other plans. So I do not know when the next time will be, but I will see you then. Bye for now.